Greetings, kings and queens, and welcome back to the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. Happy Sunday, everyone, wherever you are watching, whether it is on Facebook or YouTube or on Twitter. We are happy that you are here. And if you're not watching us live right now, you happen to be watching this broadcast at some point in the future, thanking you in advance for being here on the Always a Queen platform. This afternoon, we are going to be talking polygamy versus monogamy. So, this should be a very interesting discussion. And I have with me here this afternoon. I don't even know where to start the introductions right now. I feel like let's go ahead and start with Wind, since he is the testosterone in the room. Um, at least for now, we probably will have some more testosterone popping on at some point in the show, but for now, he's representing the testosterone. So let's go ahead and let Wind greet the people, and then we'll go down to the ladies.
Peace, peace, everybody. I am Big Shoe, otherwise known as Wind. So, Shu is Kemetic or Egyptian for life force, for the wind, for the breath, because
Mhm.
I'm a force of nature for real. So, I am one
Listen,
fourth.
he ain't never lied. Mm-mm.
I am 1/4, 25% of the four elements united. If you go to YouTube or you go to Facebook or you go to Twitter or Instagram or whatever social media you at, four elements united. Four black men, four strong black men, well educated, very evolved men, bringing forth real conversations to our community, trying to elevate communications, behaviors, and the community at large to take us to another realm. So check us out.
All right. As I said, he told no lies. All of that was true. He is a force to be reckoned with, and you do absolutely need to go look for Four Elements United on social media, because if you're not, I don't know what you are doing with your life. So, anyway, moving right along. Oh, more testosterone just popped in. I love it. Okay, let's go, Zara. Would you greet the folks? You're no stranger to the platform.
Hey everyone, happy Sunday for my fellow Antiguans and Barbudans. Happy Independence celebrations. And yeah, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Yay!
Listen. All right. Go ahead, Manifa. I don't know how you're gonna follow that, but
Right? That's a big one to follow, but I'm here tonight and I made sure my Wi-Fi is on point so that I can debate with Drayson, and and I'm really happy to talk about this topic because it's a really relevant topic that we need to touch on, that our society has been, hiding and shooing away from, not big shoe, but actually shying away from, and I'm really happy that we get to touch on such a magnanimous, like mammoth of a topic.
right. Yeah, yeah, agreed. And last but certainly not least, Drayson, greet the people.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's always a delight and a pleasure to be on this platform. Now, my initial aim of being here is to learn from the scholars who are here, right, Manifa, and also to share the limited knowledge that I have. I am a researcher, so topics that I am unfamiliarized with. I'm an excellent researcher, so it's easy for me to pull data and to share with people out there. So you will hear more from what I have researched than my personal belief. Okay, so it's happy to be here.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into this conversation because there is so much to unpack here. There's so much to talk about. And so the first question I want to throw out to my panelists this evening is, is this. I mean, all of the questions are good. I really just don't know which one, but I'm going to start with this one. Are we as human beings born one way or another? And let me just qualify this before you start responding. I have heard arguments being made that human beings are not naturally monogamous, that we force monogamy upon ourselves, that it does not come naturally to the human. I have also heard arguments that that is not necessarily true, but rather that some humans are born naturally monogamous, while other human beings are born naturally polygamous or polyamorous. Let me just make sure I'm using the right terminology, because polyamory and polygamy are two different things, right? Polygamy would be I am a woman married to several men or a man married to several women. We are not necessarily discussing polygamy, but polyamory, and I guess polygamy just kind of follows on naturally to that, which is I am not going to have one relationship, but I'm open to having several relationships simultaneously. And I'm quite comfortable with that. And we can get into all of the reasons why people do this. But can I argue that I was just born that way versus somebody over there who was just born to be monogamous and be with one person forever? Or do people become this way because of how they are socialized or what they are exposed to or what their cultural norms are, and that kind of thing? Do we cultivate our sexual or relationship preferences, or are we born with them? So that is the first question. Bit of a complicated one, I guess, but who would want to jump on that first?
I mean, from my standpoint, I'll jump on it. From my standpoint, I think somehow we are cultivated into our sexual, I can't say sexual preferences, but how we approach our relationships. I think that you're not born a certain way to approach a relationship a certain way. However, you can approach your relationship based on knowledge, based on several factors of experience, things that happened to you in the past, things that worked. So perhaps you might be someone who would have tried a certain type of relationship, whether it be monogamy, and you realize that this just does not work out for you, and you would want to try something else. I don't think that it's something that you're born with, because I think that you would grow up into learning about these different types of relationships. Case in point, my friends who are Muslims, and they would have grown up in a household with several mothers, or yeah, with several mothers with the one father. Um, there are some of them who would have gone on to continue that trend, but some would prefer to be monogamous, being with one partner. So to answer your question, I think it's mainly around your preference based on your experience and what you would like to try. That's just my point of view.
Mhm.
I'd
Yes,
like to take a
when.
shot at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me just preface this like this. I am absolutely ignorant regarding this topic. I did no research. I did no reading. I have no experience in any of this, but I'm going to go off of spirit. I think as human beings, we're born as a blank canvas. And over time, given our environments, we're scribbled upon. And so I think it's the latter, that these limitations are imposed upon us to actually create who we are over time. Now, I think it's important that we are open and receptive to a bunch of things, but I believe that there is a natural order of things. And that's the reason why I brought up spirit. Because I think our spirit instructs us if we're in tune with it, if we align with ourselves, and if we are honest, then we can live whatever life we want. It's a matter of integrity. Being who you are that really matters. Being comfortable with who you are that really matters. So it doesn't matter whether you choose polygamy or monogamy or this or that, as long as it's in alignment with who you really are and you're not faking the funk and you're not hurting nobody. So I'll just set it off just like that, and I'll pause just for a moment and hear what everybody else says.
Okay. Who shall be next? I see Zara. Zara is ready.
Let me tell you, I'm actually looking forward to Drayson's definition and opinion. I want to hear about the research, and I'm a Pastor Drayson fan. But let me say I am gonna somewhat agree with Big Shoe. I do believe that it does have more to do with what we are exposed to, what we are conditioned to. And eventually, if we are honest with ourselves, eventually it's what aligns with us and what works with us or for us. So for me tonight, you're probably going to hear me pushing the narrative of self-awareness and honesty with oneself more than anything else in this topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree.
Pastor Drayson, no.
For the record, I must make it because I'm not a pastor.
Yes.
But, I was just about to say that. Please let people know you're not a pastor.
Take me to church.
I would like to hold on to a percentage of what was said by Big Shoe and Zara. I am going to strongly believe, according to psychologists, and we have seen it as Big Shoe would have alluded, that every one of us here born in this world, we came in with a blank slate, meaning that we came to this world knowing nothing. Culture plays a very important role, especially culture and society, in terms of who we are today, the things that we believe in, our philosophies, and what's not. Somebody who was in the world before us actually present to us what is considered to be the best way to go forward. And so a lot of our decisions are based on what we have been culturalized to believe, what society placed there and say, listen, this is what you should have. With Big Shoe, however, I like the whole spirit attachment that leads to you believing and accepting who you are to the point where you choose the things that benefit you. The challenge I have with that, however, what will be the guiding force for the spirit? Because that to me opens up a canopy. It opens up a world where everything is allowed and everything is seen as right once the individual connect with his or her spirit, and the spirit that drives them say to them that, listen, that pathway is correct. Then if I look at it that way, then there will not be any need to have any discussion on any other matter at all. If I'm asking persons to be driven by that spirit that actually pushes the things that make you happy and the things that you appreciate, because we will be looking at a society where nothing at all is considered to be incorrect anymore. That line of what is wrong will totally be out of the window, because whereas Zara can say, listen, my spirit is telling me that I am for A. Monifa will say, but my spirit is telling me I am for B. And Terrence, my spirit is driving me for C. And then I might say, but it's driving me to D. And then the question is asked, how do we culturalize even the children who are below us? What do we tell them? How do we train them? What will be predominant? Is it that I am going to culturalize them based on what my spirit tells me, because that is what I know? Or is there a demarcation of all of these things that can say, okay, I can somewhat push them in this direction, hoping that as they grow, they will be able to understand what the world is and then choose accordingly. So that is just my little challenge there, in terms of allowing the spirit, unless I do not understand it properly.
Let me make a clarity. Notice that I didn't say my spirit. I said spirit. There is only one spirit. In the beginning was the Word. That is the spirit. Shoot. Shoot. It was spoken over the void of the universe, and it created everything. It's only one spirit, one source. It's the natural order of things. So I'm not talking about no so-called my spirit where anything goes. It is the natural order of things. It is the initial source. It is the source. And it is right and exact. And if you're in alignment with that, your life is going to be, you're going to be unstoppable. Everything clicks. When you're in alignment with that, it's beautiful. You're not hurting anybody. You're not hurting yourself. So I just want to make that distinction, because a lot of people talking about what feels good, what feels right. I ain't talking about that at all. Because when they talk about feelings and perceptions, that could be off base, has no basis in reality, has no basis to source. So that ain't what I'm talking about here.
All right.
Terrence, if I may.
Yes.
Now, Big Shoe has become my best friend. I'll tell you why. Because I said what I said earlier, because I really wanted to understand if there is a difference between the spirit and emotion. And so if the spirit is driving you, then sometimes emotions will have to be subjected to the spirit. If the emotions, however, rise above the spirit, then there we have a lot of troubles. So in discussion of the topic today, which of course will go further, when you look at the whole polyamory type of relationship, I am the one being involved. Obviously, I'm going to see the satisfaction of it. But I hope that that spirit is the one that will also say to me, it is not just about you, but it is also about the environment around you, whether or not you are creating a greater effect. So it's not just about your satisfaction, it's about what is happening to the persons in a relationship with you. At the same time, are you affecting them? Are you destroying them? Are you fooling them? What are you doing? So I love that argument, and so
That's
I am
a fact.
now.
That's a fact.
That's good.
You and I are in alignment. That is right and exact, brother.
Therese, you hear the pastor voice.
Yeah.
You hear the pulpit voice coming from Jason.
It came out. It came out. It
That's
came
that.
out.
That's that king thing.
Yeah. Kingdom
That's the
things.
moving.
Kingdom things.
The spirit is moving.
So
Shoot.
Greetings to the people in the chat section. Let me just greet the folks in the chat. I see Anju. I see Beverly, I see Rochelle, of course, Ian is in the chat section. Rochelle says Drayson should definitely be a pastor. I'm going to go ahead and follow up with another question. All right. So here is my next question to follow that one. Is it based on what you have said so far? So, can I argue that it is a realistic thing to expect to love and to be with one person for the entire course of your adult life? Is this a realistic expectation?
Can I jump in on this one first?
Yes, sure. Go right ahead.
I'm going to say again, it boils down to the individual and who you are loving. If you know yourself. So I do think it's possible. Is it possible for every single person? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But I do believe that type of love is possible. And sometimes it's based on a choice. Some persons do have that discipline, do have that awareness that they make a decision, they make a commitment, and they are able to honor that commitment to weather whatever life throws on them. This is my commitment. This is the person I choose. This is the person I want to be with. And no matter what temptations may come, no matter what storms we weather, I choose you. So I do believe it's possible. But I find human beings are not always honest with themselves. And if you cannot be honest with yourself, you're not going to be honest with anybody else. So for me, that is where the paradigm shifts. And some persons are just not built for one commitment. Some persons want multiple commitments. Some people are incapable of committing to even themselves. So I do think it's possible, Therese, but you need to know yourself and you need to know your partner. Because on the other hand, too, you don't want to be making a blind or uninformed commitment. And some of us who are commitment capable or commitment disciplined, we ignore red flags and we're in it because we're just committed. So again, goes back to how well do you know yourself and how open, how aware are you of your partner as well? Because you could be committed, but you're with a partner that is not able to gift you that level of monogamy or commitment. So be honest with you and pray you get a partner that is very honest with themselves and you in return.
Can I put a parentheses in this? And it's going to be in direct alignment with what you said, Zara. See, the thing is, if you don't know yourself, you can never love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't love yourself, you can never love anybody else. And when you don't love other people, you are destroying everything around you. You're making a mess. And that's where we are right now. Our gender relationships are a mess. Because at the foundation, we don't know ourselves. And that goes back to spirit.
Wow, that is a profound truth. And I want to add another parenthesis in that if I can. Just to piggyback on what Big Shoe said. And that is, and I speak from my very own personal experience as well. The more you get to know yourself, the more you spend time truly exploring who you are, and learning to just show up authentically as yourself, not what society expects you to be, not what your family expects you to be, not what the church expects you to be, not what your co-workers. Just show up as you, authentically you. Let me tell you, when you get to the place where you are able to do that, even your taste in who you are interested in loving changes. Your taste in partnership. There's certain people that just no longer even interest you because you understand that they cannot offer you what you need, because you are so uniquely in tune with what you need in your life. And so that really sets the stage for any relationship that you have going forward. I truly do not believe that anybody can have fulfilling, satisfying, truly functional, and healthy relationships unless they first establish that relationship with themselves. Not saying you cannot have relationships, and you may even have a good relationship, but you have not really experienced true fulfillment in a relationship until you get to the point where you know yourself so well that you attach yourself to somebody who is going to meet that person, that authentic version of you, and satisfy just what that person needs. That's a whole other level. There are levels to this thing. And you don't get to that level unless you do that internal work.
This is a very, very important conversation. This is the most important conversation in our community right now. And I'm going to tell you why. Because all of us, how we were conditioned pertaining to sex, what is a function of white supremacy. It's a function of our experiences in slavery that was passed down. If you think about it, if you think about your first sexual experience or your exposure to sex, it was from some deviant stuff. It was from pornography. It was from incest. It was from rape. It was from some nonsense. And that nonsense is the origin of it all was slavery. These overseers, these slave masters, these slave owners perpetrated the worst of atrocities on our people. They were so deviant and so disgusting. They raped our mothers in front of the entire family for the fathers to see, for the kids to see. They raped the fathers for everybody to see. They raped the kids for everybody to see. They had the mothers and the sons have intercourse with each other. That's where the term motherfucker comes from. They had the daughters and the fathers have intercourse with one another. The most sick and heinous atrocities were perpetrated against our people. And we're experiencing the origin right now, still today. And it's some heavy stuff. And they talking about this CRT BS, and they try to sweep all this stuff under the rug and put it in the closet. No. They talking about bootstrapping. No. They don't want to take full responsibility for what their ancestors did to us. They want to circumvent it all. They owe us big time. And that's the reason why you do what you do, Queen, as a clinical psychologist, as a therapist, as a counselor. because our people have so much trauma as a function of this white supremacy that still prevails.
Woo!
Terrace, if I may.
A word, a word. Woo.
This is
Listen, Ian says that he thinks that a hurricane advisory needs to be put in effect because of the way wind is blowing right now. Hurricane advisory is in effect because this is real wind. All right, go ahead, Drazen.
Um, I guess, you know, Mr. Big Shoe has come to be my good friend. I strongly believe that, because a lot of us, Therese, we don't understand that a messy relationship is simply because our singleness was extremely messy. And singleness has a lot to do with the appreciation, as we have heard, the appreciation, the act of embracing who you are, and the act of loving you, understanding you. I have been stressing singleness almost for so many years now. I'm tired. But a lot society does not push singleness, because singleness is a foundation of healthy relationships. What society does, society brings to us, as Big Shoe alluded to again, so many other things, not that they are wrong, but the timing of it is so bad that we don't even spend time to understand us. And when we start eating what society offers us, we keep eating because it's so sweet in the belly that sometimes we forget that, hey, but I don't even know who I am. For example, society tells us, hurry up, get married. Look how nice it is. You turn on your television, everybody is married and life is sweet. They get up out of the bed and they kiss and hug each other and they paint a picture like marriage is that. Society says, hurry up, have sex, and don't do it with one person. Do it with multiple person. Explore. Get to know what you can take, what you can handle, what you like, what you don't like. Have it with multiple persons. And then when you get married with a woman, you realize all the positions that you try in your 5 billion people, the wife that you have, she doesn't want that. So you have to literally see society as force raping us to become that. We are so confused, and that is what is killing relationships today. We are entering relationships as strangers first to ourselves, and so we are offering a stranger to an individual who now has to try to entangle. They have to try to figure out what the stranger is bringing while you're trying to figure out the other stranger. And that is a challenge that we have. So singleness is the bad singleness is the problem that we have here. And hence the reason relationships getting a lot of licks. Marriage is getting a lot of licks because we are entering not prepared for these things. And that's the challenge that we have. And so I go back now quickly to the spirit. If we spend more time with the spirit, Therese, we will understand that the spirit will encourage us to get to understand this individual. Nobody's supposed to know you better than yourself. Nobody's supposed to know you better than yourself. And you are supposed to understand yourself so much that nobody can control this. But because you don't understand yourself, a lot of people control our minds. And that's the challenge that is out there.
You know, Therese, listening to Drayson, and I'm hoping you and the others can weigh in on this part of it. Hey, MJ in the party now,
I
man.
see MJ in the dance. MJ in the dance.
You know, and I'd love MJ to weigh in on this maybe first, because I feel like something that we definitely need to establish in this panel discussion is the polyamory, the polygamy. Because just listening to conversations with individuals, I don't think people fully understand what it means to be in a poly relationship. And I feel like a lot of people are wrongly using poly relationships for pseudo intimate relationships. And going back to what Drayson was saying, I totally agree with you. I find a lot of persons through trauma, through inheritance, through exposure to, media, a lot of persons are not comfortable being alone. I had a gentleman who attempted to date me, and he did not know what to do with me because I told him I'm alone. I am single, but I'm not lonely. I'm definitely desperate. And I'm not interested in being in a relationship just to say I have a man. And he had no idea what to do with it. And then on the flip side, too, because I mean, there are women like that, but there are men like that, too, who they cannot function alone. They need a backup plan. So if you're not available tonight, Therese, they're going to see if Monica is available. They're going to see if MJ is available because they just cannot be by themselves. And then that's where a lot of crap happens too, because we end up getting into relationships, ignoring red flags. And again, going back to the pseudo intimate relationships, you want to feel the connection, but you're not really making a real connection with anyone. And like I think it was Big Shoot had said it earlier, you then end up hurting people and you end up hurting yourself. So I actually don't believe a lot of persons, especially here in Antigua, even understand the connection of a poly relationship. I feel like people still want pseudo intimate relationships. They want the freedom to have sex with multiple partners, and they're not understanding what a poly relationship is. For me, I know I love intense, Therese. I love so intense. I can't see me having this love for multiple persons, and me no want nobody put my pan no shift. Me no want to go pan no shift, and I think that's the biggest thing for me. I love sex, and I want to be able to have sex when I want to have sex. You understand? I don't want to be like, oh crap, tonight's Monifa's night. Oh shoot, tomorrow's Monday, that the MJ night. So me have to wait until Wednesday for deal with my man that me share with MJ and Monifa. I can't do that in a relationship. And I love too intensely, I love too fiercely to be sharing that love with multiple persons. But that is me. I'm not saying it's impossible. But again, I feel like a lot of persons are confusing a poly relationship with their desire or their habit of pseudo intimate relationships.
Okay. Jump in, MG.
Hi. So I would love to jump in here because I don't have a lot of time. I'm actually at DDF working, which I hustle. So I just want to definitely join the conversation where I can. And yes, I have been in monogamous relationships, but I agree 100% with Zara. A lot of us, I would say maybe Caribbean people, if you want to put it, a lot of us don't really understand. Can you guys hear me clearly, first of all?
Yes.
Okay, great. So a lot of us don't really understand what it really means to be in a poly relationship. Polyamorous, sorry, it's polyamorous and polygamy, right? They're two
Mhm.
different things, right? Okay.
Right.
But a lot of us don't really understand it. We think it's just about sex. And every time you hear the conversation, it's some man wanting it, first of all. Here we go. It's some man wanting it and want to cheat other woman. And it's all based on sex. Oh my god, the sex is about to be amazing, the sex is going to be great because I get to choose who I want to have sex with. But no, being in a poly relationship is not just about sex, it's about networking. It is about understanding yourself for who you are and what you are. You have to I believe wholeheartedly monogamy was not meant for all of us. I believe wholeheartedly that we were forced into monogamy. I believe to some extent sometimes we were brainwashed into monogamy, making us feel it's about one person. And then when we have these desires to probably be in an open relationship, we don't speak on it. We don't ask for it. We're not transparent with it. We play games because, oh, I'm supposed to just be with this one person. I don't believe that fully. However, not everyone should do it. As I say all the time about sex and sexuality, not because your man comes today and say, hey, I want to play the butt games today. That means you have to do it. No. If that is not your cup of tea, you have that open and transparent conversation. This is not my cup of tea. How can you truly and fully know that? Spending time with yourself. You have to understand what you are, what you bring to the table. I believe one of the conversations we had, Therese, you were saying about someone cannot meet or cannot speak all of your love languages. One person cannot speak all of your love languages. So one person can't fully love you, body, mind, and soul, exactly how you want to some of the times. You may have one person, you may have Sherry, she's a homemaker, and Sherry's gonna make sure your home is well kept. She's gonna cook. She loves to do the homebody things because that's what she loves. But then maybe Sherry's sex drive ain't that high. Let me not say sex because I just said this is not about sex. So let me not even say sex. Maybe Sherry doesn't know how to budget. Maybe she's not the budget type of person. She doesn't handle her money well. So Francine step in. Francine now brings to your table someone who's direct, who helps you to plan, who gets the bills done. She's better with money. She understands finances. Different people are going to meet different needs of you depending on what journey you're going through in life. But it's really, really important for you to understand who you are, what you really want, and if someone can also definitely bring that to the table and being honest. I believe poly relationships are are beautiful once done right and correct. And it's just not about the man having 3 and 4 wife. It has to be reciprocated as well. You have to be open-minded enough to understand that, hey, it's not just about my needs as a man. It's not just about her stroking my ego. It's also about what she wants. What is she looking for? Does she wants to is she interested in inviting someone else into our relationship? But it's about networking. You know, it's not just about sex, it's about building a family, building connections, but it all comes back, as we've been talking about for weeks every time we come here on Metamorphosis of a Queen. You have to know who you are, what you are. You have to love on yourself. You have to spend some time with yourself, whether it may be celibacy, staying single, doing some mental journey. You have to understand who you are and what you bring to the table before you can ask somebody for it. What do you like, as Jason said? How are you going to ask this person for something and you don't even know what you like? Are you even filling your own cup? A lot of us have this twisted mentality about poly, but I don't believe all of us were meant to be monogamous. But it's not about lying and not being transparent. You have to be transparent. You have to be open-minded. You have to keep, like, if you can't communicate and step in a no poly relationship, left on one. If your biggest problem is communicating, just done on D, because you have to communicate. And you find a lot of times, men, I'm sorry, you know, I love y'all, but men have more of a difficult time communicating. But then want to pick up 2, 3 women that you not gonna want to chat to you and you don't want to chat to none of them. That makes sense? I didn't want to chat to you because that's what we do as women. We talk. So you have a big communication problem and want to step into some poly relationship and you can't even talk to one female and get it right with one female and you can't even communicate with yourself. It's all about self-love. It has to be about self-love before we go anywhere. Go ahead, Monifa.
I'm gonna jump in here and really define what polyamorous or polyamory is. And according to our good friend Google, it's saying that polyamory is the act of having intimate relationships with more than one person at the same time. A polyamorous person might have been open to having multiple romantic partners. So this sort of networking, well, this definition, MJ, really looks at the intimacy part of things. It really speaks to focusing on that sexual aspect that we're trying to run away from, but that's what it is in an essence. And I on one hand, I want to say I disagree with what MJ is saying in regards to the polyamory dynamic, networking. So if we take that example that you just had and we decipher it, then one person is obviously going to get more of that individual than the other, right? So if Suzanne is only here for finances and Jane is here for homemaking and Mary Sue is here for intimacy, then, somebody gets more of that individual than the next. There's no equal equation here. And the only way that I see it working, and it's um, from a religion standpoint, my brothers and sisters of the Islamic faith, for them, everyone gets an equal opportunity. But again, like Zara alluded, do you want to be on a shift system? And it's all about, when am I having my time? My personal belief is that I don't know if polyamory or it has to do with that networking aspect that MJ would have mentioned. I think that it has to do with having a dear cake and really eating it and wanting to eat it. That's just me. That's just my personal belief.
But
If I
then
have my
still, but the
Can I jump in
networking
there?
still, not because I just bring finances to the table means that's all I need and want from you. I still have to communicate, hey, sex is still going to happen. So I still believe, but then, okay, but suppose it's a situation where what you are able to give me, I'm quite okay with. Why is it that a relationship has to be defined by you spending this amount of time doing this amount of things? What if I'm quite
oh no.
okay with
Mhm.
20 hours of the day not seeing you? Maybe that's where I am in my life. Like 20 hours of the day, I don't see you. We communicate now and then, but yes, we are in an intimate relationship. What if that's just the place that I am in? So what you're giving
Would
to
you
me,
be
I'm quite
okay?
okay
Yeah,
with.
but would you be okay knowing that, okay, I'm okay with this, but yet still he's gonna go over there to Zara and be like, okay, Zara is going to have the other part of it. As I could
But
be okay
if
with
that
20 hours a day, but I can also be okay with you having that other aspect. Okay, he's a workaholic, he's working. But now another person comes into play, getting your attention.
that's
Then
where the
that
open mind
kind of
comes
closing
with.
happens.
But that's where the open mind. So if you're not okay with that, don't sign up for it. If you
Okay.
are not okay with that person spending more time with that other person because of how things are balanced, do not sign up for it. If you want for your partner up under you 24/7, say that. But if you are quite okay with the arrangement or how the relationship flow, relationships need to be defined by you and the person in
Yes.
the relationship. Not what
Yes.
society say. Me and you don't need to deal with and you up on my baton trait. That don't make no sense to me.
Not saying
You
that's what it is.
But
I'm
can I
just
just say
saying.
go
something?
ahead,
Okay,
Zara.
And
let's let
with
Zara jump in.
Monifa's thing, I just want to say I'm gonna disagree with you, Monifa,
Hmm.
and the Google your interpretation of the Google definition, because for me, intimacy is not just sex. And that is why I said earlier that I don't think a lot of persons who are using the poly relationships truly understand what a poly relationship is. And then, too, I don't know if we're going to have time tonight, but then there are different types
Yeah.
of poly relationships, which
Hmm.
is what I think both you and MJ are alluding to. You have the
Polyamorous.
hierarchical poly relationship, you have the
Hmm.
polygamy, where it's one gender and multiple of the opposite gender. You have the poly or hierarchy
Hmm.
relationship where, maybe Drayson and I are the primary partners, and then each of us has our secondary partners. You have the kitchen table polyamory relationship where Jason and I are primaries. Jason is with MJ as well. I'm with Big Shoe, and the four of us can sit and chat. Not that we're going to have an orgy or be intimate with each other's partners, but that's what I'm saying though. And this thing of intimacy, a lot of people, and again, going back to Big Shoes, ancestral destruction of us understanding that intimacy is not sex, which is why I keep using the term pseudo intimate relationships. People think they want the intimacy, but they don't even know how to generate intimacy, because I can have an intimate relationship with one person and we're not even sexually active, but the connection is, it's on a spiritual level and we're connecting in such a beautiful soul-filled way. And the different types of poly relationships, because something that MJ is really saying that and I am going to admit I'm being judgmental here based on interactions with persons. I don't think people can handle the level of honesty and communication that is needed for a successful poly relationship.
Simple.
People like secrecy,
Yep.
or they've been trained so much to love the dip in the back door, sneak out, that they can't say, like, Monifer is like, babe, I'm going by Big Shoe tonight. And that's what the poly relationship is. I don't think people are at that level of honesty first with themselves or with somebody else to entertain it. So we're just out here throwing these words around where we don't even know what we're doing. And for any relationship, I think it's important for the individuals in that relationship to clearly define what that relationship is for them, what it looks like for them. Because MJ, I agree with you. I want nobody up under me 24/7 that they can just kill me. But I don't want a shift system either, because if me want to lie down and cuddle with you tonight, no can tell me, no can tell me a Therese night, me cake, come me want hug her.
Because that's what your needs are in this space of your life, Zara.
Right.
And that's what your needs are in this space. And that is what I keep saying to people. Define your life. Let your life look how you want it to look.
And be honest. People aren't honest with themselves. It's like,
yes.
I'm segueing a little bit, but it's like the fuck friend thing. A lot of people, and I say people because it's not just a woman thing, because I, a man, love catch feelings. Yes. And then go all psycho and talk a crap on people. Right? But this thing, having your back scratcher, your friends with benefits, I'm not for it personally, because I know what will make me catch feelings. I have my boundaries, I have my rules and stuff. Every now and then you meet somebody that break the rules. But what I'm saying is some people are like, yeah, I can just have sex and it's okay. They're not being honest with themselves, because they know they're going to catch feelings eventually. And then they want to demonize the other person who is able to maintain the boundaries. We need to be honest with ourselves first.
Zara, wait. Just want to jump in here quickly. You mentioned something about the intimacy, that okay, intimacy is not sex, and we all that's very clear. And you can be intimate with someone, right? But can you be intimate with let's say Johnny? You're intimate with Johnny. However, you have Drayson as your husband or as your man. How does that work? Explain to me that dynamic. You are with Drayson as in a relationship, but you're intimate with someone else. How does that work? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, of course it can work.
Can I just jump button here 1 minute? 1 minute, because what Manifa just said is exactly the questions I had on my tongue to ask just now. 2 questions, and then Zara, you can go ahead and tackle it. The first question was going to be, can you love multiple people? Can you be in love with multiple people? And 2, can you separate sex and love? Because I don't know that everyone is able to do that. So those are the questions I wanted to throw out. So now you can go ahead and tackle what Manifa was saying.
But Therese, I thought you were going to open the button with that one.
I knew it would come, but I guess I was saving it.
I think it is possible. I think it is definitely possible. And again, this term of intimacy, we can separate it from the physical, because I'm sure if each of us were to look at our relations, and I'm not talking romantic, platonic, familial, we have intimate relationships with our best friends that has nothing to do with sex. It's a comfort, it's a vulnerability that you feel safe expressing your deepest fears, sharing your darkest thoughts, and it has nothing at all to do with sexual anything. So I do think it is possible to have persons that you love differently and that you can have different levels of intimacy with. For me personally, my ultimate partner, I want that platonic intimacy with a spiritual intimacy, with an emotional intimacy, and then with a sexual intimacy. That is what I want in my ultimate partner. But I can totally, Jason and I are married. And the thing is, again, going back to honesty, right? Because, like, I have a work husband. And we have, I would say, we have intimate moments where we share about each other's lives, ask about each other's opinions, share, this really scares me. This really concerns me. He's not somebody I'm going to hide from Drayson. And Drayson is going to trust me that I am honoring the boundaries that we have defined for our relationship. And I would never disrespect that. But there is no physical or sexual anything with the work husband relationship. This is my boy. He has my back. And that's great. And then I'm coming home to Drayson, and Drayson's relationship has been honored. It has not been disrespected in any way. Hey, maybe Jason and the work husband hang out without me. But again, the honesty and the boundaries, because I'm not going to disrespect what Drayson and I have defined for us, because I don't even have those feelings, sexual feelings or attraction for the work husband. You know what I mean?
Okay. Anybody else want to jump in on that? Wait,
Let
I
me jump
noticed you
in
didn't you
here.
didn't you didn't say anything about separating the love and the sex though.
No, that's what I'm saying. That it is possible to have that intimacy without having that sexual
Oh,
attraction
all right,
to the
right.
person.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no
Got it.
sexual attraction to the work husband, so there's no danger of disrespecting the boundaries that Drayson and I have if we're in a monogamous relationship. Right. So that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, with the intimacy, I do believe you can have intimate moments with persons, with friends, with coworkers, with your church people that have absolutely nothing to do with sex.
Okay. Anybody else want to jump in on that? Can you love multiple people, and can you separate sex and love?
Because I have to leave just now, I'll just jump in here quick if everyone doesn't mind. I'll be sure to definitely make listen to the entire thing, the entire conversation tomorrow once I'm at home. For me, yes, I do believe that you can be in love with more than one person, because once you fill yourself with love, once you're filling your cup with love, you are able to give it and give it freely and willingly. I believe that wholeheartedly because I am love, I am light. I have different people within my tribe that I love, and I say I love genuinely for who they are and what they bring to my table. And because I have so much love to give, I have love to give my friends, my tribe, my two beautiful children. I pour so much love into them because I pour love into myself. So it is possible to love yourself in the right way and love one partner, probably love another partner. Say to you, it is possible. It's, again, we all bring different things to the table. We're all satisfying each other's needs differently. As Therese said, can you really find one person to speak all of your love languages in the way you want them to be spoken? Maybe that person here has top three. Maybe that other person has top three, but then adds in a fourth. different people meet you different places in your life. Different people bring different things to your table. So it is much definitely possible, without a doubt, to openly, genuinely love more than one person. If it's a situation you mentioned about and being intimate and then having like sexual relationships with someone else, that is possible as well. You are, I agree 100% with Zara, that you are able to be intimate on that level. Because I have a friend, quick story. I have a friend, I think most of you guys are following me on social media. No, I always post pictures with her. Her name is Kay. She's a very good friend of mine. Like this is my bona fide. We both share sexual energy. We're both sexual people, but we've never been physically intimate. Every time we go out and we have that, you can say she's my best friend. I've shared downs and ups with her. She's been there for me like nobody else. So when we go out, we fully enjoy ourselves, we dance with each other, we just have this beautiful sexual energy. People sometimes take it for the fact that we've been intimate, like physically intimate, and I have to let people know, no, can't I? Because yes, I do love the females. Yes, I love women. But can't I just be with someone that I have a complete understanding with and wink up on her and dance up on her and hype her up without it being physical? Not because my love woman, that mean that every woman that I'm around. No, because of course I have to place that boundary. I have to place that boundary because I have to protect myself, I have to protect our relationship. But that doesn't mean she has not seen me naked. That doesn't mean she hasn't seen me cry, like my ugly cry, like ugly cry, snot to come out my nose. These are intimate moments.
Right.
But we're not physical. We've never been physical. But if you see us out, it seems that way, but it's not. However, she is my dear friend, as Zara has her husband, sorry, her work husband, but we've never been physical. And it's okay to separate that because you've placed the boundary. You've placed the boundary saying, nah, I don't want to lose this person. Sex does mess up things. One thing we need to admit and say it with our chest is that sex messes up things when you don't understand what you want and what you bring to the table. Sex can mess up things. So if you have a good bona fide friend and you're gonna get sex involved and you really don't want sex involved, it can mess it up. Is it worth it? Half of the time it's not. So sex messes up things. So sex doesn't need to be in everything if this person is there for you mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. That's all that matters. I believe we have the capability of separating the two. Some of us just don't know how to, and be honest with that. It's okay to be honest with that. But I do believe we have the capability of separating sex, separating intimacy, and loving multiple persons. Love, like be in love wholeheartedly with multiple persons at the same time. I believe so, 100%.
Okay. Anybody else want to jump in here?
I think we have heard a lot on on this. Um, hmm, I don't even know where to start. Well, I could tell you what I totally agree in terms of, because I realize there are a lot of terminologies that have been going around, and it has been a lot. I believe that there's a difference between, there can be a demarcation between intimacy and sex. I mean, it does exist. You can be intimate but not sexual with the individual, so that is true. That is good. The nature of the term polyamory, however, I think polyamory, even though it is possible to be intimate without sexual, there is indeed a lead up towards exploring like the highest peak of an individual with somebody else. That is literally what polyamory is all about. Being in the multiple relationship and trying to explore the highest peak with the person. So sometimes you might be in that relationship and not sexually active, but it doesn't mean that you haven't been creating damages for the other person. I mean, I don't know how ladies can do it, knowing that women are so emotionally intertwined. I don't know how a woman, honestly, I'm sitting on here as a man and I'm wondering, how can a woman really share a man with the next woman and feel satisfied and full. I am shocked. Like this evening, I am absolutely shocked because women are persons who that I have realized they like to have their own pizza terrace. They like to have their own thing. They like to know that this individual is mine and it's all mine and I'm not sharing him with anybody. It is
Drayson, more than man. More than man.
No. But it's quite
What a man,
easier.
Drayson.
It's
Could a
quite
man want
easier.
5 women, but he cannot handle the polyamorous relationship where his main partner also has other men. Anybody more possessive than man, Drayson?
No.
Go
I'm
for
not.
the
Wait.
statistics, Drayson.
I'm
Go for
coming
the
to them.
statistics, Drayson.
I'm coming to the men just now. What I'm trying to say is I'm coming to the men. I'm not exempting them. But what I'm saying is that the makeup of a woman is like that. The makeup of a woman. Women cannot take on jealousy. Women cannot take on comparison. Women, it's hard for a woman to be in a position, be compared with another woman and feel happy. It's totally difficult. If you can get that done, because I can't control you all. I mean, I think the makeup that I know is that a woman does not like those things. Now,
nobody say people. It's a people thing.
Drayson,
maybe if you had more intimate relationships with men who felt vulnerable enough to have this conversation with you, you would say it's a people thing and not a woman thing. Anybody can take more knuckle than woman, but men drink brake fluid and so. You understand? It is a people thing.
Listen, I have to step in here quick and be devil's advocate because I really want to step away. I have to be a devil's advocate and agree with Drayson, to a point. I have to agree with him because women, what I think he's trying to say is that we hold on to our emotions so much that we don't know how to separate mentally. That this person does not build, but she's right. Zara's still right. It's a people thing. We are so possessive. Like, you're for me, you're mine. No. But I agree with Drayson. I really agree with him. I'm sorry, Zara. I do agree with him, and I do agree with Zara as well.
Because the man and them not having these conversations with you. So based on my research, Drayson, must say I want people think.
No, but wait now.
The man and them are conditioned. The man and them are stereotypically conditioned to compartmentalize. But you just bun you. You just bun y'all. And some of y'all don't know what boundaries are. Some of y'all can't handle the boundary. Must say I want people think. However, women tend to discuss it more than men. So it appears like it's the women who can't handle it more. But must say I want people think.
No, I am not saying no, I was just talking about the woman first before I go to the men. I was talking about the woman first because I'm telling you, Zara, honestly, I am shocked what I'm hearing today because I know women, they love their own space. Women love their own property. Women love their own, I don't know how, I mean, you have spoken this evening about the shift system. I have never met a woman who loves the shift system. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong direction, but I've never met a woman who will enjoy a call from a man that says, hey, I can't come over here tonight. I'm going to be at Sheila's house. I will see you next week. I don't know which woman is going to conceptualize that well. I'm not sure, especially Zara, when you're in hype for the moment and you think he's coming to give you something and you realize the man can't come because he preferred to spend time with the next woman. I don't understand how a woman can actually accept that and feel good. I could understand how they can lie about it and those things. But the challenge that we have here...
Women who cheats does it all the time.
Yeah,
exactly. That's a side chickism.
Side chick. They do it all the time. So I'm just saying.
I'm going to finish now.
There are women out there who does it.
I'm gonna finish now because I know Big Shoe.
I need to hear Big Shoe. I need to hear Big Shoe.
But the challenge that I have, when you jump as a man who doesn't understand singleness and he doesn't understand the beauty of having a long-term relationship is a man who will enjoy polyamory. Because in a man said, I have plenty women to share this organ with. Men are so different to women. There are a lot of men who enjoy sleeping in one bed tonight and being able to go in the next one tomorrow and then go in the next one the next day. A lot of men enjoy that. And guess what happened? There are a lot of men who are doing it and they're not connected to you. A lot of women are being fooled by words. A man say whatever literally on earth for woman to think that this is what my heart is telling me. But this is just lip service. You understand? A woman needs to understand when what the man is saying from his lip is connected to his heart. And that is a challenge for a lot of women. So a man spit words out and she grab it and she said, oh my God, he loves me. And this and that and that. This and the man is saying she's a joker. I say whatever she wants to hear because that is what will keep her at a position where she doesn't have to rise up and be way. And then I have to go figure out how to bring her back down. So that is a challenge that we have. But men will love it because the men love the exploration of sexual activities with multiple partners. But a serious man will not gravitate to that. A man who understands that my satisfaction is not just personal, but it's also if my partner is satisfied. He will not run for that. You understand? So you have all kind of categories of people on earth. I agree some people have tried the relationship. For them, they claim it is working. But I know jealousy is still a real thing. This is a real thing. It exists. A lot of us suppress it, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It exists in a suppressed form for a lot of people, but it is what it is. Love is something that it tells you, I want it all. I want you and nobody else. Nobody else. That is what love does. It holds on to something that says, I want that. Now, imagine that thing that you're holding on so tight, and next woman is pulling that thing over on that side, and you are telling me that, oh, it's okay. It's going to come back. It's okay. When it come back, it'll be mine. I can't see the connection. That is just me. Let's hear from Big Shoe.
So I agree with you 100%. I think you and Zara are correct. But let me tell you the distinction. And typically, I don't deal with these type of conversations. I deal with the fundamentals, but I'm going to indulge you. See, the thing is that it's so much BS going on here in 2022 around the world in relationships that people are tired and fed up. They are open and receptive to new things. That new thing is polyamory, what is it?
Polyamory, correct.
Polyamory,
Yes.
what is the
Polygamy.
other one? Polygamy.
Polygamy.
And the variations in between. Because there's so much BS going on out here. And the thing is that who you're describing, Drayson, is somebody that is not necessarily conscious and aware and doesn't necessarily operate on a high level. So these people that deal with polyamory, polygamy, are typically people that are slightly evolved. Now, they're not there's no such thing as ideal. They're not perfect in the sense of perfection that they're unblemished. But they are elevated in their thinking, in their being. And so what they're doing is trying to negotiate something that works for everybody because they have a high regard for one another. And they see a vision that's bigger than themselves. Does that make sense?
That's a good way of looking at it. I mean,
and I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that it exists.
That's a good way to see it.
From a foundational perspective.
Definitely.
From a foundational or fundamental perspective, how polygamy began was really rooted in our ancestry. Women love powerful men because they provide, they protect. They're honorable. They love wise men. Power is reflected in many ways. It can be reflected in physical power. It can be reflected in political power. It can be reflected in educational power, other forms of power. People love powerful people, and they concede to power. They gravitate to power. And a lot of these, most of these relationships are predicated upon that attraction. So from a foundational perspective, again, when our ancestors warred with one another, they accumulated women out of those wars. In addition to that, in Islam, there was the deficiency of good men as a consequence of war. And that's the reason why other men took on other wives, because they didn't want the children to be orphans. So if my brother died in war, I would take on his wife and his children as mine. And Islam, for most men, it was okay to take 4 wives. For other men, for very powerful men, they could take on more, as long as they could take care of those women and those children. So it wasn't on a sexual basis per se. It was on a duty basis. Taking care of family, taking care of village. So what we're experiencing right now is a nuance of that, because these gentlemen and some of these women are learning some of what the history says, but distorts it and makes it comfortable for themselves.
Yes, definitely.
And there's a lot of fuckery going on as a consequence of it. They don't even understand the fullness of it.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying, Therese. A lot of these conversations, when you listen and when you know, when you've studied these relationships, when you have met persons who are at that level to have those relationships, and you hear the trenders, because for me, I look at it as a trend, the way some persons discuss it here in Antigua and Barbuda. It's a sex trend. And they're throwing around this poly relationship when they do not understand what it entails. They're not at that level of self-awareness. They're not at that level of self-honesty. They are incapable of being that honest with other persons. And to me, that was MJ's biggest point, the honesty, because being in these poly relations requires a very high level of honesty. And I would dare say, I think it requires even more honesty than a monogamous relationship, in my opinion. And a lot of people are not at that level of honesty. And Big Shoe, you're so on the ball. They are not looking at all the parameters of what is required. Some years ago, I had I would say the privilege of getting to know a polygamous family. They were living in Antigua for a while, Hebrew Israelites. And they were very open and kind, and they were able to just discuss openly with me, because I was like, well, how does this work for you? I spoke to both wives, the husband, and for them, it's part of their belief system, being Hebrew Israelites. the wives were able to admit to me that, yeah, there are times where, you know, you want to spend a little extra time. But again, it's a decision they made. It's a lifestyle they chose. And they had all of their reasons, benefits for that lifestyle. And they're good friends with each other. Like, I mean, the wives are really, really good. It was beautiful to watch the family dynamic, to watch the relationship. And you could tell that the husband had a different level of intimacy and relationship with each wife. Like, you could tell which wife was the rock. And he described her as that this is his soldier, you know? And then you had the other wife that was more like the, I don't want to use nurturer, but more soft side of it. And the dynamic worked for them. I also loved the fact that they shared with me that they are open about their feelings. So if, you know, one wife is feeling a little neglected or a little jealous, they are going to sit as a unit and have that conversation together and see how they can redefine, you know, re-evolve their relationship. And again, as I said, I really appreciated the level of intimacy and fly on the wall that they gave me. And that speaks to the honesty and the communication. A lot of people are not at that level, but again, this is a lifestyle they chose. This is a commitment they made to that lifestyle, and it's working for them. So I know poly relationships can work, but I feel like what we're throwing around here is just an excuse to have multiple sexual partners without the actual relationship part of it, without consequences of the relationship. And it sounds like a really cool word to say, yeah, I'm poly. Well, poly, honey, why are you jealous? If this is the lifestyle, why don't you know who Drayson is with tonight? If this is your lifestyle, you ain't poly nothing. You just effing around using a trendy word.
Can I go somewhere?
Go. Take me there.
Go, Wind.
So we're throwing around a fundamental word called honesty. Honesty, authenticity. See, the unfortunate thing is what I'm been trying to talk about all day is that if we don't know each other, if we don't know ourselves, we can never be honest and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity comes from knowing the self and doing the work to know ourselves. And most people are not doing that work. So as a consequence, we can't have functional relationships with one another. Again, we're making messes all over the place. See, the thing is, sis, a virus needs a host.
Mm.
And we are operating as viruses with one another, going host to host to host. We are leeches, we are bloodsuckers, we are vampires on one another. Bloodsuckers, life suckers, essence suckers, energy suckers. We are suckers in every sense of the street term. And until we actually deal with ourselves and hold the mirror to ourselves and be honest with ourselves and authentic and learn ourselves and our history, our culture, our true culture, we'll continue the same foolishness. That's why this is a very critical conversation for our community, because sex and relationships, we have made a mess of it all. And until we actually deal with this subject right here, we'll never be free because we are on somebody else's treadmill. We're in their rat race. And that's exactly where they want us at. See, what I told you guys about the origin of this function of white supremacy and slavery, this is their game. This is what they intended. They intended to break our spirits. And how do you break somebody's spirit? You break them very well during sex. If you listen to somebody that has been raped or has had incest, they will describe to you. And I want you to listen to the Oprah Winfrey interviews. I want everybody to listen to the Tyler Perry interviews. And they will tell you, they will describe to you that in that moment of that experience, their spirit left their body. There was an essence that was moved and shifted from their bodies. If you talk to a woman right now today who has had that experience, or a young man that has had that experience, they will tell you the same. They are not the same. Especially if they don't get counseling, therapy, and do the work. We must do the work to get to the other side. All this other stuff is a bunch of foolishness and fuckery. And we need to stop it and knock it off right now. And I'll pause right there.
Terrence,
And on that note, go ahead, Jason.
If I can say one thing here, I think Mr. Big Show has been trying to create a platform that I think we as individuals need to embrace quickly. And that is, we have to once again revisit our history. We have to go back and read what used to happen. And then we have to ask ourselves if we are practicing the exact thing that once happened. You see, a lot of us don't understand, not because something emotionally feels good, the connectivity to it in the past was good. And what feels good here is a stepping stone to probably, I may say, destruction. And so it's important that we know our history. For example, this topic on polyamory, and even if it's slashed to polygamy, the Western society totally against polygamy. Listen to what? The Western society. Now the question is, which society had us in slavery? So we need to be very careful as to what we are gravitating to now, because to our ancestors it's an insult. To our ancestors, it's really an insult, especially what was seen as fighting for my life to the process is now being enjoyed and embraced by us today. It's almost as if what our ancestors went through, we are now spitting in their face and say, why didn't you allow it and appreciate it? Because here are we now enjoying it to the best of our abilities, not knowing that it's a connectivity to us being looking foolish.
Sickness is now cool.
Yes, and we need to be very careful. We have been wired to think a particular way. We have been wired, even Zara, do not fight me for this one.
It's a trap.
But what is happening now? Even some uncontrollable emotions of women have been wired, and that is sick. It means, however, that you have reached to a point of definitely not understanding the reason you exist and not understanding who you are and definitely not understanding where we are coming from. And that is why we are creating havoc now, because we do not know our history.
Facts.
That's our challenge.
Not only that, but what the hell we come here for? What are the outcomes that we really want to produce? Are we just trying to feel good? Are we just trying to be selfish? What we doing here? What's the real outcomes that we want to produce? And how we going to get to the other side as a people, as a village, together, not individually, interdependence. We on a we construct, not an I construct. And that's where we are failing, by dealing with the European system. That's not our way of being. That's not our culture. That's not our history. And everybody out there in the sound of my damn voice, stop that shit right now.
I just want to say that, I mean, Jason, of course, I'm not going to leave that there. And I'm holding firm to it's a people thing. But I will say, I'm not going to fully argue with you, but I will say part of that high emotional response and unrealistic expectations from women, that is a side effect of the patriarchy that men implemented on society and that came from Western civilization. The sad thing is that patriarchy implemented and introduced and fueled certain what word should I use? Unfavorable responses from women that even some of us women don't like. But it came from patriarchy, right? And it's like you men wanted this, and then you realize it's not something you really want, but you're still perpetuating it. However, I just want to also say that for anybody listening, and if you are in a poly relationship or you want to be in a poly relationship, again, don't let Western civilization, don't let the Orthodox church traditions deter you. Be honest with yourself. And going back to what Big Shoe said, I mean, when we do look at our history, it was a part of our history. It was a practice that worked. It was a lifestyle that worked. And if we are to honor or even understand our history and look at it today, right back to what we've all been saying, you need to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know yourself. You and your partner partners need to know yourself and have that open communication on what you guys require from your relationship. So I don't want anyone listening to this experiencing shame, because it was a beautiful system that worked for many of our ancestors. It works for many of our brothers and sisters who are still on the continent, many of our brothers and sisters who are part of different lifestyles, Muslim, Hebrew Israelites, etc. It works for them because it's their lifestyle. They understand it. They can identify what areas of it that works for who they are as individuals. So I'm just saying, for anyone that wants to be in a poly relationship, understand what it is and don't be afraid of your feelings. And for me, that's one, to me, that's a red flag right there. Because if you are afraid to tell your partners how you are truly feeling, this may not be the dynamic system for you. This may not be the type of relationship for you. But you got to be honest with yourself first.
Let me further clarify something. This is very important, and this is in alignment with Zara is pointing to. See, the European system is predicated upon power and dominance, competition,
Mm-hmm.
capitalism. Our ancestry is predicated upon peace and harmony, cooperation, collaboration,
Balance.
interdependence, balance, ma'at.
Not.
Therese, if I may add, I think Big Shoe finished there.
I want people to know that the distinction that I'm talking about, you study it and you
Good.
abide by our ancestry, not theirs.
Therese, if I may add, I think what Big Shoe just did, Big Shoe totally went against what Zara was pushing. Because, let me tell you why. Big Shoe beautifully outlined what the Western society, the system, what it rides on. Listen to it: power, dominance, competition, exploitation, all of those things. Look at polygamy, for example. Polygamy is fueled by what? Power, dominance, competition, and exploitation. That is what polygamy is fueled by. Because if you go back, and I heard it earlier, historically, you go back to the Islams. The Islamic community is not 100% for polygamy, you know. That is why they make polygamy a very difficult option. And the difficult option from Islam is you only allow 4 wives and all must be treated equally.
Mhm.
When you're telling a man that he has to treat all women equally, it's almost like an impossible thing that you have to do. Because when you connect to somebody, you connect to them differently. That is what's happening there. When you go to the Muslim society, now in the Muslim society, it's always about power. You can take as much woman as you can if you are wealthy enough to take care of them. You understand what I'm saying? So what I am getting here is this. We have been left with a particular type of arrangement that highly exploit women and bring back women to a form of slavery. That is what we have been left with. Because when you look at as a man to the top and you have these women trickling, guess what happened? If Monifa is one of those women and Monifa decides she cannot deal with that, all Monifa will be done, all would happen to Monifa is that she will just fade away and somebody can replace her. So you see what is there? The women are left to compete, to fight. Can I be the best one? Can I receive? I'm coming, Zara. I see you there. Can I receive more love? What can happen there? And that is the system. That's the structure of this whole polygamy thing. It is the structure of it. Now, if Zara want to come and say now, the woman can be the top and you have multiple men underneath. I don't know how that will work, but it's usually the man is the one on top and multiple women string underneath. And so, Zara, what you said in your story just tonight about the family that you met, they were honest enough to tell you, I wanted more time. That is jealousy. That is jealousy. Somebody else getting what I am not getting. They were honest enough to tell you, this is how I felt. But guess what happened? They're suppressing their true inner feeling to say, okay, we already signed up for this thing. Let us make sure it worked. I think something worked when honestly your heart and soul is in it and you feel comfortable doing it. I think if you're forced to remain and you're saying it works, it doesn't really necessarily work. You're just showing people that, oh, I am doing it, but you know, hey. But that's what I picked up from Big Shoe thing there. Let me say it again, and I wrote them down. Power, dominance, competition, and exploitation. So we need to be careful as to what they have sold us, because that is what we will experience. Zara, you may go.
Let me go.
Just before you go, Zara, just before you go, Rochelle has been making some really heavy comments in the comment section, and I really want to highlight a few of her comments. I'm over here just watching her comments, but we haven't had an opportunity to really go through the comment section. But I just want to highlight a couple of the things that Rochelle has been saying, because Rochelle has been dropping some truth bombs in the comment section, and I want to share them. This is one of her comments. She says relationships need to stop being about ownership and labels. Until we stop trying to subjectify interpersonal relationships, we're always going to be here. Right? Another one of her comments that I just saw that I want to highlight. She says, you can't own another human being. That's a slave master induced mindset. I thought that was very interesting. And and then and then she says here, where's the other comment I saw that she said that I wanted to pick up? Where is it? Here it is. And I really want y'all to comment on this. She says relationships aren't supposed to fill us or complete us.
This is facts.
I think the word complete should be
It's
complement.
facts.
That's how relationship should
I
be.
said
Compliment.
Rochelle with the bombs in the chat section.
Compliment.
Hmm?
Agreed.
Let me just say this. I love you.
Who, me or Rochelle?
I love all of you. But
Okay.
what I'm saying, that phrase is a declaration.
Mhm.
It is a speaking. In the beginning was the word. It is a creation for you to walk into and have your actions consistent with, to build a family unit, to build a village, to build a community, to build a world, to build a universe. We need to be honorable in our speaking. We need to have integrity as it pertains to our speaking. We must honor our words and don't take our words lightly, because they are creative forces. We shouldn't be throwing around the word love like we're doing, because that ain't really true love. True love is standing for one another. True love is liking one another, meaning I enjoy being around Zara. I enjoy being around Monifa. I enjoy their energy. I enjoy their time. Like is a heavy word. I love a lot of people, but I don't like to be around a lot of people. If I like you, that means I really fuck with you, for real. And for a lot of people, that's a heavy, heavy phrase. So what I'm getting at is that we need to start liking one another and befriending one another and spending time with one another, communicating with one another, being with one another. And that'll provide us access to true love, to true community, to true village. And that's how we restore our family structure. That's how we restore everything that we lost, by standing with one another, standing for one another. I'll pause right there.
Teresa, I still waiting to come back to Drayson now.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because, and Drayson, I'm gonna hit you with this. I think it would be naive I think it would be grossly naive for us to speak about a relationship that is void of some sort of power. The power shifts, the paradigm shifts between persons, whether monogamous or polygamous. I think that is just totally naive to talk about a relationship that is void of any sort of power. Because I'm sure in one day you might have maybe 10 power shifts where you might be like, when it comes to maybe the electricity bill, you put your foot down with this. When it comes to the children, the wife may supersede in the power shift in that space, but it's still mutually respectful, right? So I just want to put that out there. And I also want to say, again, looking at our history and depending on the nation that our ancestors would come from, different wives, and the few nations that would have multiple husbands to one wife, there would also be an understanding in terms of the power paradigm in that dynamic as well. But where you speak about exploitation and all of that, I agree with you in terms of the Western conditioning. But I can recognize that women are taking back their power in terms of that, in the choice that they choose to make. And I keep emphasizing that, the choice, because if I know this is a lifestyle and I choose it, I know what is required of it. So it's still a choice, and it's not necessarily an exploitation for the woman that may want to be part of a polygamy unit, because it's her choice. It wasn't something that she was forced to do with the choice. But the the power is going to shift, but we don't want a power that is exploitive or even competitive. And even to speak to that, we will get jealous at different times for different things. Even with friendships, she didn't call me today, but she out with Stacy, and that's your best friend. And it's not necessarily some deep rooted thing that you need to go talk to a therapist about. You might just want to hang out with your friend a little bit more. I think that's just being human. Whether or not you choose to act on it, or you recognize that it's just a fleeting moment, that maybe for whatever reason in this moment, this particular person, you just wanted to feel their energy. I don't think that's necessarily detrimental enough to call it competitive. Sometimes you just want somebody's energy a little more than someone else's. And I think that's just people being people, that it doesn't become a competition. And again, going back to the honesty thing, because if it is that you do have that inkling and you know yourself to be a very jealous person or possessive person, then a poly anything is definitely not for you. Maybe not even a monogamous relationship, because the whole stalker vibes is just sickening right now.
Let me just say this. Jealousy and possessiveness are expressions of fear.
Mm-hmm.
They're expressions of scarcity. They're insecurities. And
Definitely.
only those people who really do not fully know themselves have those attributes.
I think,
agree with
Therese,
that.
I think Big Shu needs to add a little to what he just said. In the context of our discussion, it's not just about knowing yourself anymore. It's also about knowing the situation that you are entering into. Because I can know myself well, but I did not prepare for the situation. And the self that I know, hey, it's almost as if I would have caught myself off guard because I was not prepared for the unknown. So the situation is important, and I'm respecting what Zara is saying in terms of, you see me, Therese, I cannot tell people what to choose. That is not my decision and my role on earth. I cannot tell people what is best for them. They, at the end of the day, have to choose what they desire and what they think is best. But what I want people out there to hear from me, Drayson DeLong Brown, is this. Take time. Yes, that's my middle name. Ask my mother where she got it from. Take time to research before taking steps.
Yes.
Because it doesn't make sense to get into a type of relationship that you're now forced to suppress who you are and all of these feelings because of shame. And that's the next big word too, shame. A lot of time, because of our state of shame, we are afraid to step away. We are afraid to move away from what we thought was originally good for us. So that's what I would tell people. Take time to understand what you are getting yourself into. Read, research. And when you read and research, everything that basically comes to your mind will connect with the self that you have spent all these years knowing. And yourself will tell that information, I am not prepared for this, or I can't do this, or I can try it. I'm ready for the experience. And so that's the challenge that we have. People are too rushy and too fast. They see John over there and Sheila doing it, and they want to jump in. They do not understand the circumstance. And you know what I shared with my wife, and I shared with a lot of people? When you go on Instagram, on Facebook, and you look at the pictures that they post on WhatsApp, everything is a stationed approach. You stand up and you put a smile. And when you look at the picture, you would hear many people say, oh, this couple is lovely. They're nice. They're looking good. And they don't understand when the camera moved that those people don't even speak to each other. They don't even live in the same place. They have no respect for each other. But they smile for the camera because they want you to feel like this is what is happening. We can't any longer look at stationed pictures and say, listen, this is working. This is great. So we need to be very careful. I just wanted us to understand that. Understand yourself and understand the situation before jumping into it.
And that goes in alignment with what Rochelle says. Let me read what she says. She said, we need to accept people for where they are at in them and not try to shape them to what we wish they would or could be. See, we have to accept people for who they are and for who they're not. In the old adage in speaking, they say, know your audience. See, the problem is that we have a delusional relationship with reality, especially in this social media age. We've been fed so much by Hollywood and so much by propaganda and this big machine that I call white supremacy that we don't know our ass from a hole in the ground. We need to get back in tune with reality. And the reality is that the most of us are very, 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 very sick. Not everybody has done the work. And we at various levels. And the people that have done the work need to be with people who have done the work. Otherwise, you're going to have turmoil. And the people that are very, very sick, they don't need to be with nobody that's very, very sick. They need to do the work and get healing. There's a book called Attached, that everybody needs to read. And it talks about the various forms of attachment styles.
Mm-hmm. I also
the
have
Queen did
a
2
recording
videos. Yes, you did
here.
2 videos on this attachment. Everybody needs to look at those videos and read that material, because you will see that many of you all have high anxiety, PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. And it's a function of your experiences. And how we're relating to one another is we're relating to our traumas. And it doesn't work. We will never have functional relationships in that manner. We need help. Pardon me, we don't need help. We need support. We need counseling. We need therapy. We need healing. We need to get well. The fact of the matter, the reality of the matter is that we are not well. And we continuously perpetuate this foolishness from generation and generation to generation. And we need to think about what we're doing and knock it the fuck off right now.
And on that note, we are going to round this broadcast up. We're already at the top of the hour. It's 3 minutes after 7. So, and I know we could keep going and
Really good.
going on this topic. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. I want to give each of you an opportunity to just give our listeners a parting shot, just a 2 or 3 sentence parting shot. What do you want them to take away? Or what is the biggest takeaway, I guess, for you from tonight's discussion? And then we're just going to call it a night. So let's start with Manifa. Manifa, what's your parting shot tonight for the people?
Well, my parting shot would be, just learning from this discussion, especially what Wind has been, preaching tonight or saying, is that we need to really explore who ourselves is first, explore our history, really seek out that the things that we would need to, the tools that we would need to go forward in a wholesome self, right? And to embody that person who can stand up alone and say, these are the choices that I make, and stand firm in those choices. So my takeaway is, I need to do more reading. I need to do more research. I need to really do the work, like persons are saying tonight. We have to do the work to make sure we get to the place where we need to be as a people. And it's not about it's about we, the collective. Interdependence, it's important. Those are my takeaways. Thank you so much.
All right. Zara, what's your takeaway? What's your parting shot?
Well, besides it being a people thing, I just want to say again, I just want to really, really emphasize that we need to first be honest with ourselves. We need to be honest with ourselves. And if we are at a point where what we want for ourselves does not make us ashamed, I'd say you're one step closer to being ready for whatever type of relationship you seek. Do what is right for you and get to know yourself. Don't fall into the trend. Really get to know yourself, get to be able to honor yourself, because whatever relationship you're in, whether it's a fly by night relationship, whether it's just sex, whether it is something that involves multiple partners with a deep connection, or just one person with that deep connection, it should always honor you. You should not feel like a part of you has been disrespected, or a part of you has died, or a part of you should be ashamed. So really get to know you and honor yourself in your decisions.
Okay. And over to Dreesen. What's your parting shot?
I think it needs to be clear that life is a journey, and on a journey, you will take certain things, and you'll prepare yourself for it as well. And in order for you to prepare yourself for certain journeys, you have to research about the journey that you're about to take. Because the journey you're about to take will actually help you as to what level of preparation that needs to be done. And so we have to love ourselves enough to give yourself that space to understand you. We try to understand other people's business and other people's life. And we try to understand everything else around us, forgetting that you are failing yourself. And so we need to spend time with us, quality time with us. Talk to you, spend that moment with you. Find that time where you can become you. You can embarrass you in front of you. You can look at all of your weaknesses. You can praise your strengths. Just do whatever it takes so that you can build you. I think that's what we need to do. And as brother Big Shoe says, that when you're entering into relationship, and I also believe this, and I've been saying it over and over, hurt people. If you enter into a relationship hurt, you will just hurt the person you are connecting yourselves with. Sex is not all people. And by the way, sex was designed to be great. I could tell you that. I'm a testimony of that. Sex was designed to be great. But the reality is, sex does not heal everything. And do not take away the connectivity and the meaning of sex and put on sex as a way to solve problems and try to hide the hurt. Deal with the hurt, deal with yourself, and go and enjoy some clean, open, fun sex. When you're done, you go again and say, oh boy, and you go again. And you enjoy yourself because there is nothing there to say, oh, I'm only doing it to heal a problem. So we need to love ourselves enough to take care of ourselves and to make ourselves the best of who we can be so somebody else can enjoy quality, what the quality that we put out there.
And finally, over to Big Shoe. Parting shot.
So I'm going heavy. Y'all ready for the whirlwind?
We're ready.
So the Bible says it like this. The war is not a physical war. The war is a fight of spirits and principalities. Everything in this lifetime, in this universe, is energy. When you're having sex, when you're having relationships, you're dealing with some serious energies. And you need to choose wisely the energies that you allow onto your body, onto your person. Do not take it lightly whatsoever for some temporary feeling. Fuck your feelings. Have purpose. Have love. Deal with peace and harmony. Deal with what's best for you and your people, not just you. Don't be selfish. This is about community building. Be wise out there.
All right. A word. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this broadcast this afternoon. I want to thank every last one of you who have been here watching with us live this afternoon. Thank you for your continued support of the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. Thank you, of course, to my panelists. This has been a profound discussion. I feel like this is probably one of the most profound discussions we have had here on this platform. This is going to go into the greats. This is going to go down as one of the greats. And so I want to thank you guys so much for being here, for taking the time to be here this afternoon, dropping these gems. Thank you so much. I appreciate every last one of you. And of course, I want to encourage you to not let this afternoon be your only contribution to what we are trying to build and promote and advance here, which is the betterment and the elevation of our people, right? So let's just continue to do this work. And on that note, I will send love and light to everyone who is watching now and who will be watching in the future. And as usual, remember to be a beautiful week. Bye, everybody.
Peace and blessings, everybody.
Peace.